here's my big question from all of this. And this is really what the big question is. Yeah, respect, whatever. Everybody knows that's a big deal. When are drivers going to take responsibility for their own actions? When are drivers ever going to say, yeah, I meant to do that? Or, hey, that was a mistake. I'm sorry about that. It was just one of those things that just was out of my control. When do you think drivers, mainly in the Cup Series, mainly, I guess, in stock car racing, because you can't really do it in F1, you can't really do it on IndyCar, going to take responsibility and say, I got into, let's say I'm racing Brad Keselowski. Yeah, I got into Brad Keselowski. I hit him. I spun him, but it was for the win. Or, yeah, I hit him. It was a total accident. I apologize to him and his team. Totally didn't mean to do that. When is instead of saying, well, Ross Chastain was around me and he must have gotten into me and I got into him. Or, Denny Hamlin just wrecked him. Denny Hamlin, what did he say after the race? I didn't hear his comments.
I didn't hear anything either.
But, if he would have done it on purpose or on accident and came out and said, hey, I'm sorry, that would have fallen on deaf ears because it's Denny Hamlin, one of the most hated drivers in the garage area as far as fans.
Mm-hmm.
Ross Chastain, same thing. Oh, I didn't mean to get into him. Yeah, you did. It's just going to fall on deaf ears. Do you think that's why? Or driver responsibility?
I think the whole driver responsibility just has to do with the times that we are in NASCAR. I think at the end of the day, I think it's NASCAR that has brought this upon themselves the way they are. You go back now. I can't really, I haven't really done a whole lot of research to figure out when the last time somebody actually took responsibility for something in the last few years.
I can't think of one instance where a driver is taking responsibility for anything.
But I go back and I can automatically remember something. I think it was 2003 or 2004, a race at Darlington, Sterling Marlin, and I can't remember. It was him and somebody else got collected in an accident. It was in like turns 1 or 2 or something like that. In the garage area that worked on Sterling's car. I think Sterling was being interviewed, and he said, you know what? It was just a racing deal. They were racing hard. He said it was just hard racing. It was just a racing deal. Not a big deal. It happens. And then he turns around, they go back to working on the car, and he gets back out there to get his points. Nowadays, nobody even says that anymore. Oh, it's just a racing deal. Usually, everybody's just quick to just blame somebody or blame something. Oh, well, it was the car today. I just couldn't handle the car. The car sucks. Not, oh, well, that was my bad. We got in there too hot. I drove it in too hot. That was my fault. I think NASCAR has brought it on themselves the way the racing is these days. Ever since we created the new, I know as I hit the microphone, I'm sure people can see it on YouTube. As NASCAR has created the new playoff system, the way it is, the win and you're in. That right there is a big proponent. The win you're in, everyone's like, okay, you know what? If I got to win, this is my only chance to do it. Well, guess what? I'm wrecking somebody today. I think it has to do with the way the sport has changed, and that's why I think now drivers are just so quick to blame each other. Nobody wants to take responsibility or anything. They're just quick to point the finger. And the media has asked Ross Chastain about it. Oh, well, this person has said something about you, and of course Ross Chastain just looks at them like they're an idiot when they're talking to him, and then he just says, I can't, I don't want to misquote it, but I'm pretty sure he says, well, they haven't come up to me and said anything about it yet.
Yeah. And
and I'm starting to think, man, you know what? He's kind of right.
Yeah.
How come nobody approaches him and says anything about it?
We talked about that last week, and drivers approaching each other and policing their own.
Exactly. I think it has to do, I really think it has to do with the way the sport is these days. That's just me.
So it's more of a product, not of drivers taking responsibility for a racing incident that happens on track. Should there be one of those feelings like, oh, it was a racing incident, instead of this person did this and it affected me in this way that I wrecked, or I did this and it affected him, but the reason that happened is because of this and this and this. A prime example. And I hate to throw Charlie under the bus. He's not here to defend himself. We were racing VRL racing at Talladega, and we were up front. He was third. I was fourth. There were 2 trucks in front of him. And all of a sudden, we're coming off of turn 4, and this is a tri-oval, and he comes up and collects me. He just came up and ran into me. And, you can see it on YouTube. You go to YouTube and see the VRL stream for Talladega, and there I am, wreck, and I forget what point it is. I'll mark it. But he came up and hit me. And Austin asked, what happened? I came over the radio. Charlie came up into me. That's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But Charlie said, no, it was the second place truck. Slowed down. I made the corrective action and hit you. It couldn't have been my fault. It was this guy. No, I mean, but I'll go back and say this. That's how at Daytona, the first race of the year, I'm sure you saw it. Oh, they're backing down. And I got into Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
I hit Charlie, just rammed the crap out of him. Hey, buddy, that was my fault. I'm so sorry. I'm not saying Charlie's right. I'm not saying Charlie's wrong. If he's listening to this episode, wish he was back here. It's just timing's not working out right now with the gang from Alabama here. But when it comes to that, you could look at it one way and say, yeah, you got into me. I could easily say, well, I didn't want to get run into from behind. It's restricted plate racing. But, the whole point is drivers, I feel like, regardless of the point system, regardless of the winning you're in, regardless of anything like that, just need to put their big boy pants on and say, this is what happened. I'm wrong. Or this is what happened. You're going to have to go talk to him. Because I don't know what he was thinking. He got into me.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying about that. There's no respect in the area, in the Cup garage, I feel now, because nobody's willing to take personal responsibility for their actions. That's where the lack of respect comes from in the Cup Series. You
make a really good point. It's a good point. Looking at it from my fan perspective, I just feel, I can feel like, oh, something happens, someone is going to blame a driver, but at the end of the day, they're not going to talk about it because in their minds, like, well, that's just the product of the racing these days. It's probably going to happen again.
No,
I'll just blame them all day long, but I'm not going to say anything because it's going to happen again.
It will happen again. And that's the sad part. We're going to see this again and again and again throughout the rest of the 2023 season, whether it's the Truck, Xfinity, or Cup Series, that drivers aren't going to take responsibility for their actions or just say it's a racing incident.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there.
I don't know either, Preston. So we're just going to go on from there. You have anything else about that?
No.
Have you seen enough? Of course you haven't. Make sure to subscribe to Ramblin' About Racin's YouTube channel here and check out more of our videos somewhere over here.